In this session right now, let's talk about how to configure bridge network for virtual machine in Oracle VirtualBox. If we try to create a virtual machine on this, by default it will be using a network called NAT. Now if you want to configure bridge adapter for this virtual machine, select the network, or we can use settings and then we can select network. Here we can see the network what we have configured for this virtual machine is a NAT. The problem with this NAT is we can't do SSH without doing a port forwarding. And later, when I discuss about port forwarding in Docker containers, if you want to access your application, it's not possible with the NAT network that is configured in the virtual machine. To overcome those challenges, now I want to configure bridge adapter for my virtual machine. What does it mean? How my base machine is getting an IP address from the router, similar to that, my virtual machine also should get an IP address from the Wi-Fi network. That is all about bridge. In the advanced of the drop-down list, we can see promiscuous mode. The value should be set to allow all. By default, it will be set to deny, but you have to configure with allow all. After that, save the changes. Now let me start the virtual machine and configure static IP address. We can see now the system has booted successfully and we can see the login page. Provide the username password. In my case, it is test user and followed by password. The IP address, if you want to verify for the interface, execute IP space A command. And we can see ENP0S3 is configured with IP address 192.168.0.200. But this is not a fixed IP address. Why? Because by default it will use DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. What is the functionality of it? Later, if I shut down the system and start the system, you will get the same IP address. It might get changed. I want a fixed IP address for my system for this interface of the network. Then what you are supposed to do? We have to update the details in the network configuration file. Let me try to switch to the root user. Provide the password of test user. And now from the root user, we have to update the entries in the file, which I have already done. Let me show you what are the entries we have to add. Open the file by using any one of the editor as per your convenience. VI editor, Vim editor, Nano editor or gedit. And the path of the file is /etc netplan. Under that we have this YAML file, cloudinit.yaml. Here we can see these entries. Initially it looks DHCP as true. You will not see these kind of values, address, routes, namespaces and all. We have configured that. In order to make sure it is static, first you have to set the value of DHCP as false. And then we need to provide the IP address according to our router network. If you have any doubts in this, go back to the command prompt and execute the command ipconfig if it is Windows system. Here we can see the network, the IP address which is assigned to this particular system through Wi-Fi, what I'm using right now. And this is the subnet mask /24 and this is the gateway. These details are necessary like subnet and gateway to configure the IP address in the file. We can see all the devices in this particular network will have the same gateway and same subnet mask. Only the IP address will get changed. As part of it, I have configured 192.168.0.200 /24. And we can see routes. It is configured with a gateway IP address called 192.168.0.1 and followed by Google name servers 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.4.4. These are the configurations what I have done in order to make sure my IP address is static. Once you have done with the changes, save and come out of this editor by giving :WQ. To apply these changes right now, we need to execute the command netplan apply. We can see now the command was successfully executed with no errors. Now, after that, if you want to verify whether the changes have been applied or not, just execute IP space A command. We can see it is 192.168.0.200. Since I have configured with the same IP, you will not see the difference. But this is the approach what we have to follow in order to configure static IP address on Ubuntu Server 24.04. Same applies to 22 as well. I hope this will help you a lot to understand bridge adapter in your virtual machine for Oracle VirtualBox. Thank you.